So welcome to Akita's webinar, Understanding AI, What SMEs Really Need to Know. AI is a very popular topic at the moment, very much in the news, lots of pressures on what it will mean for the future, what it means for businesses now. And as a strategic IT partner, Akita really wanted to unpick what we're seeing, what we think our customers need to know about, and the steps you can go from there. So the agenda for today will be understanding what AI really means in 2025, looking at some of the practical business use cases. Do we need to worry about AI? There's a lot in the media, certainly, about where the threat of AI exists. We'll then move on to Microsoft Copilot and AI, which is a very popular request at the moment that we're hearing. Explain kind of more about that product and that solution and where it might benefit you, and then how to be ready for Copilot, which ties into AI and security. Your presenters today, like Hal from 2001 Space Odyssey, he is the all-seeing eye of account management. It's Adam Clark. He is the Terminator of Microsoft issues. It's Dominic Elisak. And myself, the annoying protocol droid of marketing, is Jonathan Bai. So let's have a look at AI, the revolution that's happening, and a little bit about the numbers. And I was checking this just on the way down, and it's scary to think that actually the main version of ChatGPT, which most people will be aware of as kind of the leading AI platform, only launched in 2023, November 2023. And already the AI market is worth £21 billion in the UK, which is a substantial amount, which is even more substantial when you consider that in 10 years' time it's expected to be worth £1 trillion. Eye-watering sum, really. And many businesses are already making and stating their case for getting involved in AI. Currently, it's estimated by Forbes that 1 in 6 UK businesses is using AI in some way, shape, or form. But as you can see from their stats there's a real discrepancy between the large organizations and the small organizations. The large organizations have more budget to spend, likely, and there was news from Microsoft this week that Barclays has committed to running AI solutions across its 10 or 100,000 staff to generate efficiencies. But as you can see, small-sized companies are really only adopting it around about a 15% rate, according to Forbes. What we would say to that is that actually any company can do that, but it's all about thinking about your strategy. I think it's worth addressing first of all is what actually is AI, and it's a big one that's often glossed over. And as a kind of quick definition, it's not magic. It's not something out of sci-fi. It's really a selection of software that can make data into patterns and make decisions based off of that, or what appear to be decisions. It can produce outcomes based on those data patterns. So based on that, it's really often nearly all solutions are a combination of one or more of these types of technologies: language models, computer vision, speech technologies, natural language processing, and data extraction. The language models are what most people will be familiar with: the generative AI that creates text, images, video, code, understands how words relate to each other. And you have common large language models such as ChatGPT that can, in a general way, process billions of options and compare them to each other. But you also have these small language models as well, which you'll probably be more familiar with from your mobile phone, for example. Predictive text messaging is an example of a small language model where it will examine a select amount of language and determine that this is probably the next word you're going to use. Computer vision is the ability to detect when an image is there to start with. Increasingly then understand what the image is. It's very difficult from a computer point of view, for example, to understand what a leaf is against other green objects. And then you've got the more advanced semantic segmentation, which is detecting within an image overall what the different elements of that are. And anyone who's been in a Tesla car, for example, will recognize that a Tesla is able to do that semantic segmentation where it will pick out the different objects on the road and understand that is a bike, that is a lorry, but it will not necessarily show you that is a tree. That's not something you need to worry about as much as a driver, although I wouldn't recommend driving into one. In terms of speech technologies, these have been around actually for some time. speech recognition, converting speech to text is maybe a newer and honed solution, but has been around for some time. It's now integrated in the likes of Copilot for Microsoft Teams. So even in this webinar, which we're recording, there's a good chance that we can turn this directly into text because it will recognize my speech. There's also speech synthesis of converting text to language. This is used by a lot of kind of video technologies. In particular, there's a platform that we use called Synthesia. And if anyone's seen our LinkedIn post recently that featured RMD, where we've effectively created an AI version of RMD, speech synthesis is a huge part of that. But equally, text to language exists within Microsoft Word. Even on a non-Copilot version, you can take a document, you can click speak aloud, and it will read the document back to you, which is a great way to proofing documents. It's just generally a technology that's been around. I'll speed up a little bit through these. Natural language processing, picking out information from text, categorizing what types of documents are. So whether it's maybe an HR related document, whether it's a finance document, to be able to segment documents. Detection of what language is. So something like Google Translate will be able to recognize text that's in French, Spanish, and so on if you just copy that in there. And then there's sentiment analysis, which is perhaps a newer form of technology, which is understanding the tone of the language. This is something that a lot of sales CRM technologies are adopting now to understand the tone of an email as it comes in. Is the person happy? Are they sad? What should your outcomes based on that be? Final is data extraction. Optical character recognition has been around for some time. That's the idea of being able to pull data out of a scanned document. Many older scanners will be able to do that. What's increasing now in the AI era is the extracting of specific data to apply to different fields. So, for example, in marketing, if I am adding a new inquiry to Akita's CRM system, I'm able to copy the address of that company off of their website, for example, copy it, deploy it, and the CRM system will understand that the county needs to be put into the county code, the postcode needs to be put into that field, and we'll understand and align those different options. So really, in total, these 5 technologies are the backbone of much of what we see in AI and what we view as the magic. And based on that, it's really about understanding how you can benefit from them. And that moves us on to what AI platform should we be using. And if for those of you that remember it, this is a little bit reminiscent at the moment of the kind of the dot-com boom. There are so many solutions. This little diagram of the different ones is probably already out of date by several months already by the amount of new solutions. Many of them sat on the OpenAI and ChatGPT basis of technology base. And they are for every purpose you can imagine. You can create video, which we do. You can create music for videos. You can do image editing. You can do marketing and sales copy. You can even Replit, in particular, in the code and generation. You can tell a piece of software to generate code for a new website, and it will write you a new website. It's knocking down a lot of the barriers of being able to the last bastions of having those kind of areas where you had to had experience. But what we would say is that, as I said, this list is probably out of date already, is that actually things are evolving so fast that actually committing to one or more of these solutions at the minute is a risky basis on a long-term scale. So to give an example, we use a video platform and have done for a couple of months to create videos for trade shows and so on. Already that platform has come down in price significantly because the competition has risen up to find it. If we'd committed to an early cost of an annual subscription, we'd be paying way over the odds based on what the monthly subscription is. So really, I think it is the case of keeping your ear to the ground, understanding the new platforms, and above all, thinking in this term: what efficiencies am I looking to generate with AI? I think we'll come on to this several times in the presentation, but it is really about thinking about where are the areas in my business that will benefit. And at this juncture, I'm going to hand over to Adam.
Perfect. Thanks, John. So yeah, as John's touched upon, AI is incredibly vast. What we're hearing is that many businesses aren't quite sure on where to start with AI to reap the benefits. So we wanted to take a look at some early observations in the next few slides. So AI can and will see dramatic change across just about every job role as it develops. But in the meantime, there are some key fields in which we're seeing an early and natural coexistence with AI. In particular, sales and marketing, who are seeing time savings from forecasting and content creation. Sentiment analysis also helps sales consultants understand how customers are responding in the moment and help them to adapt. Customer service with automated query resolutions, which frees up time for improved engagement and overall reduced operational cost. Finance departments are seeing benefits around processing payments, detecting fraud, and identifying credit risks. And then operations with predictive scheduling, logistics automation and optimization, and enhanced reporting. So for those of you that are looking or considering AI adoption, these areas could be a really natural starting point. And now we'll look at which roles are at risk. And when we say risk, we mean the roles have the highest likelihood of seeing dramatic change and enhancements through AI. So whilst AI is not here to replace any individual worker, individuals within these kind of roles will likely see that the most change to their day-to-day tasks over time. So for example, in customer service and call centers, intelligent AI agents can understand an incoming question and the actual intent behind the question so that they can help provide a meaningful response. Within legal services, AI can rapidly analyze contracts and find and articulate specific clauses within them, and it can also perform due diligence much faster and at times more accurately than junior level staff. In finance, many of the manual checks which a financial controller uses could be fully run and managed by AI. And for manufacturing and warehousing, especially when combined with robotics, AI can optimize supply chains and ultimately fully automate production lines. And then finally, journalism and any role really reliant on content creation. Generative AI is capable of creating entirely new content. And you might have already seen images and videos online which use generative AI. And I will say that these are getting harder and harder to spot the difference with the real thing. And then before I hand over to Dom to talk about the wonderful things AI can do, it is important to mention that there are inherent security considerations when talking about AI. The first is around data privacy. So sensitive business information and customer data can be at risk if it's entered into any open source AI tools, especially if that tool's not conforming to AI data governance protocols. And tying into that, we are hearing business owners and senior management teams voicing concerns over their team members who are accessing AI tools which haven't been reviewed or widely adopted by the business. So those risks therefore kind of tie back into entering sensitive data into these unvetted tools. From a security perspective, it is key to have measures in place to restrict unwanted access and reduce that risk. There's also risks surrounding misinformation, in which AI can produce material which might seem correct at a glance, but have inaccuracies in the detail, which are known as hallucinations. And that can lead to misinformed decisions, or even worse, it can damage a brand's reputation if incorrect information is published. And AI may also unintentionally replicate copyrighted material, further damaging a brand's reputation and even expose organizations to legal liabilities. And tying back to misinformation, it is crucial that end users are taking ownership when they're distributing any work generated by AI, and best practice that they're diligent and checking what the tools are creating. And then lastly, over-reliance on AI, particularly in content creation and operational decision-making over the long term, over-reliance can lead to problems with quality control and critical thinking. So all in all, it's important to remember that AI in general is a tool, it's not a crutch. So it's there to weaponize the human behind the device to help them to do more, not to take away and help them do less. So at this point, I'll hand over to Dom to talk to you a bit more about Microsoft Copilot.
Perfect. Thank you, Adam. So I'm sure most of you have come across Copilot in one form or another. It's very similar to ChatGPT in the kind of base concept of what it is. You find like a web version of that works in the same way. You kind of ask it questions, you ask it to do things, and it gives you an answer based on the web. However, there's a massive difference between Copilot and some of the other popular AI chatbots. And that's the fact that Copilot isn't just a chatbot. It actually works as a front for all of Microsoft products. You can weave in, Power Automate, you can weave in Teams, Power BI reports. All of this is something that Copilot can access, and it can access your files. So it's not just, it's not as simple as you ask it questions, it checks the internet, and it brings you back the information. Today, we're mainly going to be focusing on the modern work area, which is the section down the bottom. The modern work area consists of all of the day-to-day tools that you largely use, things like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Teams. And this is probably where you're going to find yourself using Copilot, especially at first. Using all those other products kind of comes a little bit later on. So this is just a kind of a show of what the Copilot built into Microsoft Word looks like. So this isn't a web chat. This is directly within Word. You can generate text from here. You can generate templates. You can ask it to create you a file or a document. You can even give it a reference file to help make your information more kind of up to date and more secure and essentially accurate, because it's not just checking the web. You're now giving it physical information to create that from. So it can be a useful tool, and that's where it differs from the other chatbots. They're gonna spit out things that are generally using the internet to provide information, whereas Copilots are using what you can give it. You can give it a lot more. Yeah, so this is Excel. It works in a very similar way. So you also have a built-in chatbot you can use once you have a license. So that you can use a chatbot. You can use Copilot in Excel for a lot more. You can ask it to analyze key trends in your data. You can ask it to review different columns and create different formulas. So if you're having any trouble with your kind of day-to-day management, it's of kind of Excel files and the data, it's a lot easier to do it through here, and you can work with an assistant to kind of get to the end of that. We also have PowerPoint. So Copilot in PowerPoint is a very powerful tool. You can actually generate an entire presentation. You can ask it, create me a presentation on Copilot, and it would spit something out based on what it can find on the internet. But you can also give it, again, data to work off of. So you don't just have to rely on what's available in the internet. You can also give it physical information from your SharePoint or from any file, and it will go through that and turn it into a PowerPoint. And you can then even talk to Copilot about editing it. So you could say, oh, actually, I don't like this theme, or I would like a different color scheme, and it will go and do it for you. So it helps you make those kind of tasks that can sometimes take a long time. They can be done a lot quicker. So in general, Microsoft 365 Copilot has two kind of options here. So you can see in the kind of picture there on the PowerPoint, you have a web version, which is essentially working the same way as ChatGPT. So this is the free version that kind of everyone has access to. It's a large language module, so it works very similar to ChatGPT. You speak to it, it gets information from the internet, kind of generates you images, things like that. But you also have a work tab, and the work tab is a lot more of a powerful tool. So the work tab will link all into your actual files as well, not just the internet. So this is if you ask it, for example, what's our paternity policy? It won't just look online and create you a random maternity policy. It's going to actually look through your SharePoint first, and it will reference those documents in the response to you. So it will give you a number, tell you where you can find them for more information, but it also strip that data out and give it to you. So that this is our paternity policy as found in this document. It can also do the same thing for Outlook and Teams messages. So it can actually access a lot more of your data to get you accurate responses. This is particularly helpful because OpenAI have agreed with Microsoft a deal where they train Copilot and their platform using Microsoft's processing power, because Microsoft have a lot of kind of data centers around the world. So they train using that, and this is kind of allows Microsoft to ensure that they don't train on any live information you're giving it. So if there's any information that you are giving to given to Copilot, it's secure because it's not being sent anywhere. It's not training on your data at all. It's being kept separate. And yeah, that generally helps keep your data more secure. If we jump onto agents now, so Copilot agents allow you to create a specific AI kind of agent or chatbot to perform an exact task. So a best example of this would probably be a chatbot you might find on a website for something like a mobile network provider. So like a technical support bot where you ask it questions, and it then looks through a kind of set of data sources to try and find the answer. As you might have kind of experienced if you've used one of those, they don't look on the internet to find the answer to your problem. They look at a specific data source. So with an agent, you can change the data source to be a specific file or a set of files or the entirety of SharePoint. So instead of responding with just, again, internet provided responses, it can use these SharePoint or kind of a specific file responses. But that's not the entirety of an agent. An agent also allows you to then create different functions and responses based on that data and what people are asking you to do. So if we keep the same example with the support bot idea, you can say that anytime the topic of human comes up, so if anyone mentions, I want to speak to a human, or I need to speak to a human, whatever it is, it will then run a different set of kind of responses. So after the first time someone might ask, it might say, are you sure I can't help you from these questions? And then after that, you might say, okay, well, now it needs to send an email, or it needs to provide a phone number. So the responses and topics can change basically dependent on what you need this bot to do. So you can run a lot of applications from here. You can run automated scripts, and you can run automated Power Automate processes. So this is a sort of a front end to run other applications as well. So you can use these agents to create quite powerful tools. But the thing to remember is that you need to know exactly what you want this agent to do. It's similar to how we mentioned earlier with driving what efficiencies do you want to drive. You have to know which ones you want to use the agent for, because otherwise they aren't going to be as useful. So it's really about figuring out exactly what are you trying to achieve with this, and then you go from there and build out the correct solution. Yeah, and I know a lot of people are probably interested in the security of Copilot. So I'm just going to go through a couple of brief bits here, because bringing AI into your company and Copilot does present some security risks. As we mentioned earlier, if your files and systems aren't secure, you're giving your users a way to search your system, and it is an effective search. So if you have, for example, the director's salary in a file somewhere that everyone has access to, Copilot's going to find that. Whereas before, that person may have had no idea how to get to it, no idea where to find it. Well, Copilot will. It will go through and grab it. So there is a lot of kind of focus on making sure that your systems are ready for this, and making sure that you kind of negate these risks as best as possible. But you also have some things that Copilot generally solves, but other AI products that have as a risk. We kind of mentioned the data privacy here. As long as you do have your system up to date, any information you put in it isn't being moved anywhere. It's staying within your tenant, staying within Microsoft. So there's no risk of your data being kind of sent off to ChatGPT or DeepSeek. They use kind of different services, different applications in the background. It's all staying within Microsoft, which is helping you keep that data privacy up. Similarly, for misinformation and accuracy, if you're using your own organization's data, your information is a lot more accurate because it's specific to your company. So if you're using a price list, for example, if you ask ChatGPT what the price of Microsoft Copilot license is, it's going to find it online, whereas your price in your price list might be completely different. So these are a few things, especially as well, with intellectual property risks. Anything you create through Copilot, once you have a license, is yours. You don't have a copyright problem. It's not copying data from somewhere else. It's generating it for you, and then you can, it's yours to use. And this takes on to the kind of how ready you are to run Copilot. So Microsoft have split this into two categories. You have foundational and you have optimized. So the foundational kind of state of things, just make sure that you're ready to put Copilot into your system. And it's generally making sure that you have got basic security from external threats, and that you have policies and you have thought about compliance, data retention, things like that in place. Whereas the optimized is all of those, but it's a little bit more secure on top as well. And it's, instead of saying, have you thought about this? Have you got a policy? It's saying you need to have automatic deletion policies. It needs to be working automatically without any manual input, really. These are the different services that we've kind of laid out that will help you reach the different categories. So under foundational, you've got SharePoint with permission set. So as we said, you need to have your permissions set correctly. So it is paramount that you do this before even thinking about Copilot. You need to have audit logging on, which essentially means that an administrator can track what data's been accessed, who's been accessing it, if anything's been deleted, things like that. We can kind of audit all of that and go through it all. Multi-factor authentication is more for external security, but I'm sure you have all got some kind of MFA on your phones through Microsoft Authenticator or Duo. So it's just making sure that you have that. Retention policies are how you want to retain your data and what you do with it. Does anything happen after 7 years? If your data inactive, do you remove it? Having to think about those and how you want to manage your data, and also in terms of your compliance, how you need to manage your data in your kind of field. In-tune and conditional access policies, these are more security policies. I'm sure some of you will have heard of it before, but these essentially secure access into your tenant by a multitude of different ways. Data loss prevention policies, these are policies that are built into SharePoint, but you need to kind of set them all up. And these will identify different types of data and what can be done with them. So, for example, a credit card number, you may say that's sensitive and you don't want it to be able to access, so you turn on the DLP policy to stop that. Well, Copilot will follow these policies as well. So if you've got a DLP policy saying you can't get credit card numbers, then Copilot won't be able to get them either. So that's the foundational side kind of wrapped up, but the optimized side is everything that we've written there, but you also need a couple more things that kind of further secure you. The first one is sensitivity labels. So this will allow you to label different areas in SharePoint or different files with a certain label, and then you can produce a list of tasks based on that label. So you might want to watermark everything in the finance area or the marketing area, or you might want to say no one can send these files anywhere, or you can't download them. Whatever it is, you can kind of change that there. And then you also need to have retention policies that automatically delete inactive data. So this is exactly the same as what is in the foundation, but you need to actively delete the data. You can't just mark it or say, yeah, we will retain it. Compliance policies, very similar. You kind of set up a requirements for your device, and then you can only access your 365 tenant from that device and from those compliant kind of devices. And lastly, risky users, additional access policies. This essentially prevents impossible access. So if you're in Birmingham and you sign in, and then 2 minutes later you sign in from London, 365 will say, hang on, that's not right. You can't have physically traveled that far in that amount of time, and therefore you're a risky user and you're not allowed to access the system. So I'll pass you over to Adam now, who's just going to run over how we can help you kind of move forward with AI and a little bit of Copilot as well.
Nice one, thanks, Dom. So I'll finish off by talking about how Akita can support you in getting the most out of Copilot and some of the other efficiency tools that we offer. If you're looking to take advantage of Copilot, we'd start by ensuring that you've got all the required systems and tools in place. So much of what Dom went over already on kind of the essential and optimized, we can review that with you. And again, a lot of that is going to be security based. We then provision a license for exploration. So that would be strongly recommended only for senior management initially. At that stage, it would be due to security and access considerations, but it's also really useful as an opportunity for cost evaluation. So a smaller number of users can initially review how much benefit that Copilot deployment would be, whether it's across specific departments or the entire business. But before rolling out to the wider team, we would then conduct the full readiness assessment where we review the configuration of the systems, as Dom says, with kind of policies set up and permissions in place to make sure that people can't access what they shouldn't. And then last but not least, once it is deployed, we can then support your team's ongoing learning by guiding you towards any of the relevant training resources that might be useful for them. And then last but not least, I just wanted to finish by talking about some of the wider tools available to achieve substantial efficiency gains. So these are solutions available from Akita outside of Copilot, and they could be a good starting point to achieve efficiency gains either before or alongside Copilot. So first is our digital transformation and virtual CTO consultancy, in which we work directly with you to understand your processes across kind of all areas of your business and provide advice and guidance on where those processes could be improved with technology. We can also use business intelligence reporting, or BI, which is a Microsoft solution and part of the Power Platform, which can visually transform your data to help provide valuable insights. The image on the left here on the slide does show an example of a report built within Power BI. And lastly, automation. So again, as part of the Power Platform, Microsoft Power Automate can be used to apply automation to business processes, both within the Microsoft suite and outside of the suite. If you do have some legacy applications, it can still incorporate those as well. But if you would like any more information on Copilot or any of these wider efficiency gains, please do reach out to your account manager. We'll be more than happy to help get things moving for you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Adam. We'd welcome any questions either now after the webinar, or you can send them directly to your account managers or to info@akita.co.uk. We hope you found this useful. AI is a fast developing area, and we undoubtedly will have more updates for you as this technology continues to emerge. But our question, or our position at the moment, I think, would be to look within your organizations, think about where you might like to generate efficiencies, and then we'll be happy to sort of provide some guidance about what we know about providing that, and whether that's Copilot, whether that's another solution, or maybe not even an AI-based solution, something like Power BI or Power Automate. Thank you very much for all joining. The recording of this will be available within the coming days. So thank you.